Let us discuss how the AC works by Dr H V Mulimani, working as Assistant Professor in BGMIT Mudol Department of Mechanical Engineering. Air conditioner or AC, which is commonly used during the summer to cool down the room. AC is used to cool down the temperature of a confined space by removing the existing heat and the moisture from the room for our human being comfort. Nowadays, the AC does not only control the temperature, it also controls the humidity, purity of the air also. And many people think that the AC works by creating the cold air. It does not create the cold air, but it actually what it does is it removes the heat from the inside our room and transfer it to the outside atmosphere. Different parts of air conditioner are evaporator, condenser, compressor, expansion valve with some connecting pipes, fans, thermostat to maintain the temperature, air filters to clean the air, and some other parts. So here the main parts we will be mainly focusing on are evaporator, condenser, compressor, and the expansion valve. The cold side, that is the indoor part of the AC, contains evaporator and a fan that blows the air over the chilled coils into the room. The hot side, that is the outer side of the room, contains the compressor, condenser, and another fan to vent the hot air coming off the compressed refrigerant to the outdoors. In between the evaporator and the condenser coils, there is an expansion valve. Let us try to understand the refrigerant, which passes through the different parts. It is a chemical compound that is used as a heat carrier, which changes the phase from gas to liquid and liquid to gas during the cycle. There are different types of refrigerant which are available. The commonly are chlorofluorocarbons, CFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFC, hydrofluorocarbons, HFC. Chlorofluorocarbons affects the greenhouse, so hence it has been banned in 1994. Hydrochlorofluorocarbons are damaging the ozone layer, so hence they are also banned in 2020. Hydrofluorocarbons are now replacing the Freon 22. Freon is a commonly used refrigerant in the refrigeration cycle. Now chlorofluorocarbons including R410, R134. These have no chlorine and are safer to the environment. Hence they offer better air quality, increase comfort and improve the reliability. Evaporator. Evaporator is an indoor unit made up of copper coils, as it can conduct heat very easily. It is also known as cooling effect generator, as it absorbs heat from the air. Evaporator extracts heat and humidity from the air by the refrigerant running through the coil and changes from liquid to gaseous state. Compressor is a part that puts the gas under high pressure, generating the heat. That is, once the refrigerant has absorbed the heat from evaporator, the refrigerant is in gaseous states. It passes through the compressor, where the gas is pressurized and heated even more. At the compressor, the low pressure gas is changed to high pressure gas. Condenser is an outdoor unit which is placed outside the room. It is made up of copper tubes. It receives the high pressure refrigerant gas from the compressor. It facilitates the heat transfer. It expels the heat collected from the indoors to the outdoor and turns the refrigerant from gas to liquid. Expansion valve. This expansion valve regulates the refrigerant flow into the evaporator. It removes pressure from the liquid refrigerant by expansion. Let us try to understand how the AC works. We know the different parts of AC are evaporator, condenser, compressor and expansion valve. Each parts are connected by connecting pipes, making it a closed circuit. Now let us look at the working of air conditioner, that is AC. We know that the basic principle of AC is to remove heat from the confined space and replace it with the chilled cold air and expel the hot air to outside atmosphere. For this exchange of heat, we use a special fluid called refrigerant, which acts as heat carrier. Usually, freon is used as a refrigerant, which carries heat from one part to another by changing its phase, that is from gas to liquid and liquid to gas at convenient temperature during the refrigeration cycle. In the figure, let us concentrate on evaporator. The low pressure cooled liquid refrigerant enters evaporator coil. These evaporator coil are important part which produces the cooling effect. As air blows over the evaporator coil, heat from the indoor air gets absorbed by cool refrigerant because by the second law of thermodynamics, which states that heat flows from hotter to colder body naturally. As refrigerant absorbs the heat, it converts from liquid to vapor. As a result, indoor air loses the heat and cools down. The fan circulates the cold air inside the room. Now, this hot gaseous refrigerant, that is high pressure and high temperature vapor, after absorbing the heat from evaporator goes to the compressor. The compressor compresses the refrigerant and pressure increases. We know that if pressure increases, it also increases the temperature. This high pressure and high temperature enters the condenser. In condenser, the refrigerant undergoes the phase change from gaseous to liquid at constant temperature by expelling the heat to the outside atmosphere. The condenser is opposite to the evaporator because the evaporator coil contains cold refrigerant and it absorbs heat from the confined space, whereas the condenser coil contains hot refrigerant and it rejects heat to the outside atmosphere. Now, this high temperature liquid leaves condenser and enters the expansion valve. The expansion valve and compressor are opposite to each other because the compressor increases the pressure of the refrigerant by compressing, whereas the expansion valve decreases the pressure of refrigerant by expansion. This expansion valve also controls the amount of refrigerant flow to the evaporator. The high temperature liquid refrigerant which entered the expansion valve is converted to the low pressure cooled liquid by expansion of the refrigerant. This low pressure cooled liquid enters the evaporator coil and this cycle continues. To summarize the whole thing, the evaporator located inside the room sucks the hot air. The cold refrigerant picks up the heat from the room as air flows through the coils. After absorbing the heat, the refrigerant is compressed in compressor and heats up the refrigerant. After passing through the compressor, it flows through the condenser coil, where it rejects heat to the outside atmosphere. The refrigerant then enters the expansion valve, where expansion takes place. Then refrigerant enters the evaporator coils again, absorbs the heat again and the cycle continues. This helps to keep the room chilled. Hope it helps to understand the working of AC. Thank you for watching the video.